Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. You guys can hear me, right? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, the mics aren't working. I don't know why. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Bro, the mics aren't working. Oh my goodness.
That was a big disaster. I don't know how many people left.
Assalamu alaikum. If you're in the cafeteria, please make your way up. We're going to be beginning, inshallah.
Do you think brother was because I think they turn off the microphones, right? But they turned it off downstairs on Fridays. So, a lot happened that first week, but I think what I remember is like someone had told me that on Fridays they turn it off so that it's not heard downstairs. What are they cooking for? Oh. Okay. If they can hear it. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Just give everyone a few more seconds to make their way to the seats, inshallah. We know we're a little bit behind schedule, but inshallah everyone got to enjoy the food today. Yes? Inshallah. Yes. Inshallah. So the purpose of this town hall meeting or this gathering today is, it was titled Creating a Safe and Supportive Space for Our Community. And one of the things that we may have heard about in the last few years in the Muslim space is about a lot of rumors or negative news stories that are coming out of Islamic institutions. And me personally, stories have reached me about how people are feeling uncertain or anxious, worried about themselves, for their kids, their place in the masjid. And one of the first things that I want to do in this gathering is to make a space where we can kind of discuss any thoughts that you may already have, things that you may have, things that might be on your mind, worries that may have come your way, and then let's go from there. So one rule that I kind of want to put forward, it's because it's very easy for us to get carried away, is that I don't want to talk about specific cases. Specific cases can easily turn into a gossip session where we talk about, oh, this happened in this masjid over here, or in this part of the world, this happened over here. What we're more concerned about is the possibility of something happening and us taking the precautions to make sure that that doesn't happen here and keeping our community safe. So if there is a worry, if there is a fear, if there's something that is going on in your mind, something that you have heard about that has troubled you, I want to open up that floor right now for a little while so that we can discuss that, give you an opportunity to voice your concerns, and then let's move on from there, inshallah. And the end goal of today will be to hear your thoughts and inshallah to work towards a plan that can solidify a plan that will keep everyone here safe. That will keep us safe, that will keep administration safe, that will keep parents safe, and that will keep children safe. That will make people feel comfortable, help us feel comfortable, and protect us from unnecessary drama, protect us from these issues that may be going everywhere else in other parts of America. So probably need a volunteer to give it. We need a volunteer to hand out the mic. We need a volunteer to hand out the mic. Just to pass the mic around. Okay. So let's start with somebody. Can someone that would like to share?
Assalamualaikum. So I wanted to bring up the issue of oftentimes I'll see people parked in the disabled spots, but they don't have like disabled placards. And I like one time I like went up to someone and I was like, oh, like this is a disabled spot, and like they weren't disabled at all. And I think we should really try to like crack down on this because like when people go to the store, they go to the bank, like they don't park in the disabled spots, but like at the masjid, I guess maybe it's the idea of, oh, it's a masjid, it doesn't matter. But today at Jummah, I saw a car with the disabled placard parked like on the side because all the spots were taken, and some of the cars didn't have that placard. And I think like the rule is like to park in that spot, you have to have that placard. So I think we should try to enforce it more because there are people who actually need those spots. So yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum. This is also another parking concern. I think that when it's like Jummah and then they're deciding when to put the parking lot full signs, they should maybe do it a little bit earlier because sometimes the signs like aren't there and then people are continuing to be ushered in and they're like ushered to park into spots where they're blocking in other cars. So if you park there, once you're in, and then you have to wait so long sometimes for other people to come out, unblock you so you can leave and you're not blocked. It's a huge problem. There's plenty of parking. Well, now the church is getting full, but there's plenty of parking in like the business park area right before the masjid. There's a lot of other options where the excess parking can go, but it's really a concern to be able to get out on time for other things.
Okay, thank you.
Sheikh, were you able to park in your parking spot today?
I was not.
What? Why not?
Because somebody parked in my spot.
Oh, someone parked in the reserve park. Allah al-Musta'an. Wallahi, sometimes we have like all of these heavy conversations about like how to change the ummah, how to do this, how to do that. And the most basic things, if we can't do that, well, I don't know what to say. It puts me at a loss for words, to be honest with you. And especially as adults, if you hear that the youth are bringing up to you parking in the signs where it says not to park, if there's something that children are very keen on, it is hypocrisy. Youth are very keen to recognize hypocrisy in the things that we tell them. So if you tell them, we put those signs there, we put it there, right? Does that sign mean anything? Does a handicap sign mean anything? If we're the ones that put it there and then we constantly are also parking in those signs, what are you telling the youth? You know? At the same time, you wouldn't do this at Stop and Shop, you wouldn't do it at Shaw's, you wouldn't do it at the public library. Suddenly at the masjid, everything is okay. You know, honestly, like I'm at a loss for words. Or when I see people park in front of a sign that says reserved for someone else, if someone can explain like the calculus to me that goes behind making that seem okay to them, I fail to understand. But this is like the ABCs of what's appropriate. We have space, alhamdulillah, we have space. We have the church. We have different places we can go to. I think it's appropriate that we take advantage of that.
So this is exactly where we want to head towards. Voicing our concerns, talking about what's on our mind, right? Because the more and more this stuff stays inside of our head or in our private circles, the less things are actually going to change and the more they're going to impact us. So the reason for this was not because of particularly parking issues or administrative things. They were because of fears about how there are possibly dangerous things happening, right? And I wanted to take this opportunity to involve all of the different aspects of the masjid so that we can keep everyone safe in every aspect, including parking, including all of the different things like cleanup, having a clean place to pray, having clean bathrooms, all of these different things. But, let's say, for example, that someone brand new is coming into here wanting to know a status report. Okay? Based on that, tell me what's on your mind, what you're thinking, what has been going on, what your worries are, what your frustrations are, so that we can move forward from that place. Because this is not a time where we're going to say, you're wrong for feeling this way. Right? These are completely valid concerns for both of the sisters for parking in incorrect places. Right? Imagine, honestly, this is something that I mentioned in a khutbah sometime in the summer. Almost exactly what he just said about we wouldn't go to Walmart or Target and park outside of the lines. But one extra thing that I mentioned was the aspect of dhulm. And when other people are in some way inconvenienced, and I'm just saying inconvenienced, not even harmed, but just inconvenienced by the decisions that we make, then we have the potential to get sin from that. So then imagine that if there is someone who is disabled, who is handicapped, who needs to park right in front of the masjid doors, and then they have to go somewhere far away because we wanted to be lazy. There's no other word for it, right? We wanted to be lazy and not go all the way to the back of the masjid and walk all the way to the front. And then they had to do that, and they were inconvenienced from that. And because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala held you responsible for the pain that you put that person through. What we are trying to avoid is three things. The continuation of that dhulm for that person from us as, from the masjid administration, from me as the imam, perpetuating anything that could be fixed from getting fixed, and from you, from feeling that frustration or that fear or anxiety that you may be feeling in any capacity, and feeling like there's no way to voice your opinion anymore, voice your concerns. So that's what this space is for. So with that said now, is there anyone that wants to add anything to the conversation, inshallah? MashaAllah. Hold on.
During Jummah prayer, we can see that people are parking, they come late and park in a non-parking place, and they do not leave the masjid. And then you see that people are standing there because they got stuck because of improperly parking in the middle, right, where it's not a parking spot. And they are not coming, like they are spending, they're having a chat here in the masjid, and people are standing over there. I saw it that last Jummah, and there are people who are like kind of so irritated. They have to go for appointments, and they're waiting for these brothers. They're not coming. So that kind of, this. I guess we need to announce that every now and then in the masjid during Jummah prayer to remind them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Subhanallah.
Brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum
I
salam.
think I can answer why people not careful, very careful when you go to even the downtown and so on, because there is a punishment, because there is ticket. So unless the management think of get the laws very clear, and there should be consequences if you don't behave. Whatever the laws, it could be parking, it could be anything in the school. It has to be clearly stated to the public. The management also have to think how to implement those rules. There should be some consequences for not doing properly, whether insulting somebody else or not parking properly. We have to be creative enough to punish people who are not doing it, and then everybody would behave. In any country, in any city, there's a police. Why do you have the police? To enforce the laws.
Yeah.
So we lack in enforcement. It's not enough to say khutbah. No, people need to be consequences, pay something for whatever they're doing. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
My concern is when we have large gatherings, especially when we are in this environment where there's a lot of hate towards us as Muslims. Sometimes I have a concern that the incident of Christchurch in New Zealand might happen and someone might just come and open fire. That's a concern that I have.
Of security?
Security, yes.
That's a very valid concern. And I know that's something that I think many people are experiencing, because there is a general environment of this of fear that's being propagated right now. This might happen and this might happen, and it's very scary when we hear these incidences that happen all over the world of one person that makes a decision to go into a masjid and just, maybe a switch flipped in his head. Maybe, who knows what small thing happened, but then he made this decision that affected the lives of so many different people, and there was there's nothing before that to indicate that this was going to happen. And it's something that is that can be very scary. And I think that there are many people here that can relate to that fear. If I'm not wrong, I think that there are other people that safety as a physical concern is something that's shared with many people. Safety as a physical concern is shared by many people. So, inshallah, I think there are actual practical steps that we can take to ensure that we can do something about that. And towards the second half of this, my plan is to take advice from people on how we can make valid changes, inshallah. Okay? Okay. Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum. My concern, and it's been a concern for almost a year, maybe more now, is that the woman's door is never unlocked. It's never unlocked. And I brought this up many, many times to many people, and it's really not fair. Like, we have a separate door, but we can't even use it half of the time, more than half of the time. There's events or something going on in the masjid every single day, and women, girls, are here every single day, and we have to access the men's door. It's just not fair. It's not like, I don't know, it's uncomfortable. Like, we don't want that. You guys wouldn't want that either, So that's a big concern. Even for, we have non-Muslims that come on Monday nights sometimes, or new Muslims that are just joining our masjid. They can't even access the door. Like, this is a bad sign that we're sending to these people as well. So I tried to get to the bottom of who opens the door every day for the men's. It really takes like 2 more minutes to open it for the women's. I don't know how we can solve this, but it's a big problem that we need to solve. It's simple, but it's a concern.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I brought this up before, but hopefully now more people will be able to hear. The children during large gatherings, like, there has to be something to do for them. Normally we do have them in the middle. We didn't have them in the middle today because I doubt they want to listen to the town hall. And like, you can hear how loud they are. You can hear how distracting it is. And there has to be some sort of like program for them. Something productive for them to do. And also, like, the parents, they really, like, they have to work with us, because not to me, but to one of the other girls, she was handing out candy. And the way we do it is, if a child is not behaved well, they're not going to get candy. And she has multiple parents coming up to her saying, oh, just give them the candy. What is this? Like, how can we reward your child's bad behavior? And how can we expect the children to listen if the parents aren't working with us as well. So I think there needs to be something done about that, especially if there's like a larger event which will need more children. And I think the parents should be involved because, like we said with the parking, if you brought your child to work, you wouldn't let them just run around wild and scream around. Like you would have something to do. But I guess because it's the masjid, it's the masjid, they could do whatever. But no, like the fact that it's a masjid should mean that they behave even better, I think. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. In addition to parents, so the initiative that some sisters started to collect the kids in the middle and all that, it was a great attempt. But yeah, we're looking for something more. And then also, additionally, help from the brother side. There isn't much help from that side. We can't go to the brother side. We can't grab the brothers that are running around there. So definitely, if everyone could be involved in that, that would be helpful.
Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum, Imam. So this question is a bit related to social media and our website. So as a scholar, mashallah, you are giving your Friday khutbahs and they're being live streamed, which is great, mashallah. I think it's an amazing thing that WIC does. But I have seen in other cities, I have known of scholars who have been targeted, specifically because of anything anti-Semitic or anything against Israel, we say, or anything, if you mention Palestine. This has been happening in Dallas and Oklahoma and Houston, where scholars like yourselves have been targeted because we have an open door policy. We are live streaming our talks, right? So how does the masjid, the board, the management protect our scholars, right? What means and methods do you have to make sure you have a legal defense if somebody comes after you, if an if a Jewish group comes after you or something? So I've seen this happen. There are organizations out there targeting scholars. So I just wanted to open that up and see what your opinion is on this.
So I've only been here for a few weeks, and we have not gone over that yet. That's a very good point, and I think that it is a good idea to have a procedure in place as a safety precaution in case something like that were to happen. Because what we don't want to do is to water down our talks and censor ourselves, and we also don't want to leave ourselves open to litigation. So I think that having some sort of middle path where we do have a process or a known policy where we can discuss certain things, and in the event that there is a target or something does happen, then we can follow certain protocols would be a very good idea.
Imam Wajid, I just want to take a minute to say that, honestly, our apologies to you. These are all the questions sisters, you or the brothers are asking. They are more our weakness. It's as a board member, I own that responsibility that we are failing you. So you can address that to us. Imam is, mashallah, very new, just landed his feet. Asking him these questions or that, I think is unfair on our part that he should be dealing with that. Now, one thing I just will add. We are doing this program and we are having the candy in that corner. All the kids are attracted to the candy. It's natural thing. That's not the right spot. Even if we want to make our kids happy, that's not the right, because we know the social house, loud noise comes here. And we can't hear even Imam very well. I'm a little bit hard of hearing now as I'm getting old. I can clearly hear you, what you are asking. Maybe I can hear him somewhat better way. But this is the reality. People should be attentive. After dinner, half of the crowd is gone and half is just having fun over there. And we are not able to control. So all blame goes to us. We take the responsibility. Maybe we should improve upon so that we can make it better. But I know you shouldn't be put on spot with these questions, Park. Yes, one thing which we'll request you to do, that these are the etiquettes which the parents should be obviously asked. Hey, if mother and father are sitting here, maybe they should make sure their children are sitting with them also. They can't leave them there. This is just an open ground, run around, make a noise, and other people can't be attended to. This is disrespectful to those who are sitting and to Imam also. So maybe that's where you can help us, that how to people, how to use the bathroom, how to park. And these messages, repetition is the mother of learning. Maybe you can continue to reinforce basic etiquettes, but unfortunately we miss, especially when it comes to the masjid, and that frustration is there. Jazakallah.
Yeah.
Brother Mustaq, I mean, that's another board-related question he asked. How do you protect the scholars, right? So, number one, once you are a religious 501c3, you're free to talk about, in general, anything religious, right? The only thing you cannot do is support a political party. You can't just say, I'm going to support the Democrats, the Republicans. We can't do that. We have to be politically neutral, but we are allowed to express our religious opinion. So I wouldn't worry about the answer to that is once you get into, who's going to sue us? Then I don't think, we'll have to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say our job is to get the message out.
Yeah.
If, the Christians or the Jews want to talk, we are open to have an interfaith dialogue. And we've had a very good relationship with the Jewish temples as well as the churches around here. So we have that dialogue open with them.
MashaAllah. So this is the benefit of conversation and adding to that to the dialogue, so that we can learn together and improve together. So anyone want to continue on now? Who's next? Let's not end that. Let's not end it here. I think we can just move on from there.
It feels like, so when we have the Friday night halakas or the Jummah khutbahs, like, obviously we're very immensely grateful to the people who give them because they're taking time to prepare, to do research, to give, disseminate information to us and like teach us about something. It just feels like certain topics, we've had many like halakas on it, and certain subjects, it's like we don't really touch them, and they'll be very important. There's certain subjects like, just for an example, like hijab, like very important, but it feels like, and there's many different opinions on things like that, but it just feels like it doesn't, or the way a Muslim should dress, or it feels like certain topics are just not really talked about, while others, and they're all very important, they're talked about like 10 different halakas. And it's nice, but it would be nice to also maybe like put up a suggestion box for different things that could be talked about for different halakas and things.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
My concern is every Friday during Salat al-Jum'ah, the kids, the mothers, the fathers, that they bring children to the mosque, they are not aware of the children. So I suggest they will have designated place for the mother and child place. I think it's time to do it. And we'll appreciate if this can improve. Plus the shoes under the stair, every time when we come, million of shoes, we cannot even take step to go to the stair. So if we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
So Jazakumullah khair, if you can teach those people, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alayhi salam.
I actually have two questions, but I'm going to start with the one that Sister Fatima mentioned about the shoes. I just want to know the rationale behind changing the old shoe rack. So, for a long time, we had the white shoe rack, and now they changed it to a kind that it's really, really small to be able to put a pair of shoes. So if we are trying to solve a problem, I think we need to put a proper solution in place, because I don't know if the new shoe racks were actually donated, or maybe the person that purchased them didn't put the consideration in place that sometimes people have like a bigger tennis shoes to put in place. But definitely the ones that they just put there, they're not working at all. And another thing that I would like to mention is that I know when you came, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, when they did the welcome program, one of the things that was requested was that when are we going to have a program for boys age maybe like 8 to 13? I meant those boys that they cannot participate in the youth boys program, but they do need a safe place. They come to the masjid. I know this because I have one of them. And I will love him to come to the masjid as they are having program for girls. I want someone, one of the dads, maybe one or two dads, to actually come out and be able to help these boys. They need guidance. There are so many things out there that we want to save them from. But when they don't get when they don't get the guidance from the masjid, when there is no role model for them, there are so many things they can do, but me as a mom, I cannot do it for the boys at the masjid. Please, we are begging the dads. We need men to step up and be like, this week I'm going to volunteer my time to be able to do something for these boys. They are always here. They are at the social hall right now. They are all around the masjid doing nothing and getting themselves in trouble. So that is part of the question that was asked the last time or the other time when they did the welcome program. And if you can actually give us like an update on what is in the making about this program, because it is one of the important programs that we actually need at the masjid for these boys. Thank you.
Okay, inshallah. So I don't have an update for that yet, but I will bring this up again in the second portion of this after we're done taking people's concerns and thoughts. How many more people want to say something? Just raise your hand. Anyone here?
Assalamualaikum. I just want to say that I don't know how much disability accessibility services there are at the masjid, but I specifically work with deaf people, and there is a deaf brother that attends a class here weekly and would like to attend more. But for that, we would need a regular interpreter, or at least be able to pay for interpreters to come in. So if that is something that the board can work on, that would be great. Because, just relying on one volunteer all the time who is not always available is not going to work. And that person, wants to learn Islam, wants to be involved in the community, but they don't have the accessibility to that.
Assalamu alaikum. I had a concern about the cleanliness of the masjid, specifically the carpets upstairs. As we know, as Muslims, we should be, cleanliness is a big part of our iman. And the masjid specifically, we should try our best to keep it clean. Unfortunately, almost every day, the carpets aren't clean, even though people do vacuum it every week. And a lot of the time, it's from food, which is, really difficult to pray when you have crumbs right on your forehead and stuff. So I think, as one of the brothers mentioned earlier, we should have rules in place and actually enforce rules. Specifically, one rule could be no food upstairs in the musalla. This is like a common rule in a lot of masajid, and just realistically thinking about it, there really shouldn't be food upstairs, especially when it's leading to big messes.
Assalamu alaikum. So I know that problems with like kids have already been mentioned, but I just wanted to like reiterate the fact that parents need to keep tabs on their children. Like I find that a lot of times the parents don't know what their children are up to, like with them hanging out in like places in the gym and stuff, and then they get into like a lot of like trouble that their parents have no idea about. I know that in the past a lot of like fire alarms have been pulled, and they could all have been like prevented if they have been like accounted for. And that's what.
Very good point. MashaAllah. Thank you. Okay, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I know for kids you guys offer Quran classes. Could you please offer some courses for the adults, like reciting Quran with proper tajweed rules?
For tajweed?
Quran classes for adults.
Yeah, I think there are multiple Quran classes that are available. Yeah, just raise your hand. You can speak to her. There are multiple classes that are going on currently, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. Inshallah. So with that, I want to move on to the second part. Okay. So here's something that we need to understand collectively as a community, right? We have a board that is working as volunteers to accomplish this huge task of running a massive community center, running or managing a community of thousands of people that are maybe 30 programs over the course of a week, every week. And not every single thing can run perfectly, right? And alhamdulillah, there are so many things that are running perfectly here. Like without a doubt, are running perfectly here. Alhamdulillah. Now, for the things that can be improved, because in every single thing there can be improvement, right? Even in ourselves, every single one of us, we can improve. There has to be some steps that you take to get to that place. So here's what I want to do. For the points that were mentioned for improvement, help us help you. Help us help you. It's easy to give the suggestions, it's easy to give the complaints about what's wrong, but also help give some suggestions. Because the problems that are present right in front of us, yes, if you see that, we probably see that. Or maybe we didn't see that, and you brought that to our attention, and we were able to hear you today. And that was the point of this, right? To give you the opportunity, a safe space to voice your concerns. But also, maybe we didn't know that before. or we did know that before, I mean, but we didn't have a solution for it because we just couldn't think of one. So help us come to a solution. So let's start off with something as simple as parking, okay? Because I think that we do have a solution for this. What can we do about the parking? Something that, because I think like 7 people mentioned parking, including you.
I think 2 things we could do is number one, they're like I don't know how it is that other like companies get their tickets to be connected to like the RMV, but if we could figure out a way to like establish tickets, so if people are parked in wrong places, if people are parked in the handicap spot, if they're parked in the imam spot, they get a ticket, and it's not just like a ticket for show, it's a ticket they actually have to like pay, like it actually goes against their account. And number 2, I think we should invest in a tow truck for like maybe like repeat offenders, or like even like for like talking about the disabled space, like if you park there even once, like I really think like you gotta go, like you have to be towed, because why would you park there? And the fire lane, because I remember like what if there's a fire at the masjid? Like that's embarrassing. The fire truck has nowhere to park. So I think we should invest in like tickets and a tow truck.
Okay. Yeah. You wouldn't have to buy the tow truck. You can just call it the company. They will just come. Yeah. Okay.
Giving tickets is a good way to make money for the masjid too.
Okay. Yes. You want to offer some advice, a suggestion?
Assalamu alaikum.
So,
my suggestion or recommendation is, now that we identify some of the problems, is it possible to maybe form some committees, right? Some volunteers, like different committees that will take a look at different, problems that we want to solve, like the parking problem, and give us their recommendations, and we take it from there.
yeah, I think that's something that the board can you can bring up with the board, and the board will be able to assist you with that, inshallah. The EC, specifically the EC. Yes.
So I think one thing that is a point of confusion for the community is function of the board, function of the EC, function of the imam. And I think it would be helpful if someone from the board kind of came and just kind of described what kind of falls into the role of each one.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So as you're aware, we have a governance structure. The board's job is only to set policies and govern, right? The board doesn't micromanage. It's the job of the EC and the committees that we set up that really actually run this masjid. So the board is taking care of the strategic things. And initially, yes, I mean, board members were hands-on. Even now, most of the board members we have, they're all hands-on. But the goal is to get to a point that the board is only governing and the EC takes care of all the day-to-day operations in the masjid, along with some committees and volunteers, right? And then we have a separate religious committee. Their job is to focus on all the religious activities, right? So those are the 3 things we have here. You have the board, you have EC, and you have the religious committee. The religious committee, actually, the imam directly reports to the board with a dotted line to the president just to coordinate the activities in the masjid, right? So that is our structure. So anything related to parking will actually be addressed by the executive committee, and anything related to the noise that you have in the social hall, etc., they have to be addressed to the executive committee.
Okay, so
So there was a follow-up on who's part of the executive committee. So Brother Usman is the president of the masjid. As president of the masjid, he leads the executive committee. So the executive committee consists of the executive committee consists of different teams that all have different tasks, right? So I think Friday night halaqah largely is like one committee. Funeral team is a committee. I think the Sunday school kind of fall as a committee. Yeah, but the nitty gritty of the details are also on the website as well. Like bylaws of the masjid, everything is also on the website.
yes.
Assalamualaikum.
It was,
There should be like a room that like kids can do stuff because they're noisy and
yes, that's a great.
like they
that's a
can
great
draw
idea.
stuff. That.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, it's basically just to clarify, Abdullah's idea is that he's saying that can we have a room where we can have activities for kids,
Yeah.
where they can draw, they can paint, and that will also reduce the noise.
Okay, so for the next suggestion that was mentioned earlier, for the next complaint that was mentioned earlier was about the woman's door always being locked. What is a practical suggestion that you can offer? Well, that hasn't worked until now. What do you think? A solution? If something has not worked until now, come up with a solution that isn't the same solution that hasn't worked in the past. So if this is the level that we're at right now, where if you haven't, like if you're having a frustration about a certain thing, right? Go and exhaust yourself as much as you can in trying to solve that problem, right? I don't know how you exactly would do that in this structure. Maybe you would contact the president and find out who the people are who are in charge of that, and try to come up with a solution. And then follow up with getting so frustrated that it leads to a point where it's like we have been trying for so long and it hasn't worked, right? But at this point, we don't even know who opens the door. What I'm trying to say is, if it has been going on for so long and it hasn't worked, right? This is a failed attempt. Whatever you have tried, try to come up with something else. Because what you have tried in the past has not worked. Trying to find out the information, trying to ask for help in that regard, come up with a different solution. I'm telling you to come up with a suggestion. There's always an idea. That's a problem. That's what I was trying to mention earlier. Right? I don't know what the history behind the doors being locked is, but if you're having the same struggle here, I'm sure that the board had that same struggle in the past as well. Not the board, sorry, the EC, the EC. Right? Yeah.
So what I hear is it sounds like rightfully so. There's frustration about something that seems to be a very, very simple issue. So I think let's take it back and we'll review who's responsible for this and just what's been communicated to them thus far. Because from what I understand, it's not like a strategic thing to see how we can make it over to the other side of the hallway to open that other door. So we just need to kind of let's meet internally, inshallah. We'll figure this one out, and you hold us accountable in like a week or two.
Inshallah. Yes. the doors being open to the masjid is definitely something that should not be an issue. The shoes problem in the masjid, that is a universal problem in every masjid I have ever gone to in my entire life, in every country that I have ever visited. It is an inherent Muslim problem where Muslims just leave their shoes anywhere. And parking too. Help me with that. Because there are literally times where I have tripped on someone else's shoes.
The thing is, it wasn't a problem. Somebody did something and made it a huge problem. There was a white rack that worked more or less, and whoever did whatever creativity, it made it a problem. You know what I mean?
The shoes are still on the ground even with the white rack.
They were, yeah, it was on the ground, but now there will be more because of this new solution of like, let's take out the white racks and put these narrow.
How do we stop the shoes from being on the ground?
I don't know if you'll ever solve that problem, but I won't think you will solve that problem by taking away the racks that were actually holding at least more shoes than now. You know what I mean? We took a step backwards is what I'm saying. That's what the issue is.
So I think one thing that will be important in every single question that we take on, every single issue that we take on in trying to resolve, is that there will always be an element that is like structural, that is strategic, that is like, what can the masjid do? And there will always be an element of, what can I do? Always, right? Without a doubt, there will always be, hey, what program does the masjid have for children? And what can I do as a father with my child in hand to also make sure that he's paying attention and so on. So again, the masjid on its side, I think, needs to figure out certain things, replace the rack or add to the rack or whatever it is. That's one element. But if the parents abdicate responsibility from themselves, and the moment they walk into the doors of the masjid, they are no longer responsible for their children. Someone else teaches them, someone else has to do everything with regards to what they need to know about Islam. That's not going to that approach won't take us far. And I have a feeling like that's the approach where we have right now, where we bring our children to the masjid, the father doesn't look at where his child places his shoes, or they come up with if the adults themselves are not putting their shoes in a proper place, the children will follow, right? If all of these things, they kind of crumble first. They crumble first on the father-child dynamic, and then it explodes when you put all of those dynamics in one building, right? So the masjid, without a doubt, has a role to play that we should be playing and that we've fallen short in. But I think each and every single one of us also needs to look internally, say, when it comes to education, okay, first, before I hand it on to the masjid, what have I done to educate my child? Before I ask the masjid what they've done to clean, did I clean up after myself, after the halaqah? Right? All of these little things, they always start on an individual level, and then, of course, leadership has a role to kind of also put certain things in place to make sure that all of the issues are mitigated.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hanina, and I was just maybe like, we could do like a bake sale for like a fundraiser. So like maybe we could like get more like additions to the masjid. Like maybe we could have like special like events more inside the masjid that's like Muslim related, and we like the bake sale could be like halal. It can be like any like type of sweets or something like that. And like it could be like build on more money like for like a charity or something, if like for the extras, maybe.
Inshallah, inshallah. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. So I just wanted to address the shoe issue, but like overall, if you are having issues, like and people are creating these issues, they are responsible for them, both adults and kids. It's not going to change until you have consequences, and then they realize they don't like the consequences, then they'll stop doing it. So, for example, the shoes. You get a big bag, you bag all the shoes that are left around, and you charge $1 for people to come find their shoes. They're not going to do it again.
Or even if it's free, but like people have to dig through to find their shoes, and then they're not going to keep leaving their shoes everywhere for people to trip on or get hurt.
This is another question, not a solution. Sorry, but
Just stay on topic for the shoes. We're running out of time.
Oh.
Yeah, because we have shoes. We have two more. We can't add on to any more. Is it for the shoes?
In the past, there have been consequences for putting the shoes on the ground, but they never were enforced. They probably lasted for like a week or so, and then it stopped happening.
What were the consequences?
Like the bag thing, putting the shoes in the bag and leaving them outside, that happened before, but only for like a day or two. If consequences are to be made, they need to be enforced and be consistent.
I will say for the shoes thing, I think like having a bag or a tub is a very good idea because one time my shoes were in the tub and I never left them on the floor again. So I think it really is like a good punishment, like because I thought someone stole my shoes and I had to look through. It was very embarrassing, and I think that embarrassment will keep people from doing it again.
Okay. See, look, this is the purpose of a meeting like this. Okay, let's switch from shoes to the boys tweens program. Okay, that was something that was asked before. That is something that will directly have to be addressed by the EC for. That's what was discussed earlier. That's something that will have to be directly addressed with the EC. I'm going to ask you for suggestions on how to get programs started. But from before that, like Brother Jamali was just saying, community enrollment or a community what's the word I'm looking for? Community engagement is extremely important in situations like this. We need people to not only volunteer their own time, but we also need people who can look for and find other people that can bring and assign other people into these positions to run these programs and volunteer in those positions. So we have to take that responsibility onto ourselves to say, I want to go and work on this. I want this program to exist, so I'm going to work as hard as I can to find someone, and then I'll go to the EC or X, Y, and Z, and then say, hey, look, I found someone. I want you to make this this class happen. But other than that, is there a suggestion for how to make the boys tweens program happen?
Okay, so my name is Yusra, and I have an idea for like a club we could start for like the twin boys. So I was like thinking, like since we have this idea of like starting a club for like the twin boys, like we need something to entice them into coming into the club. So it's not just like twin club. Like what do they know about the club? Like maybe like a video game club or a sports club, because that's what they might be interested in. So overall we need something that would entice the boys to come into the group.
I also has like a suggestion, maybe like adding on. So like we could do this thing where maybe it's a quiz kind of thing, and someone will like tell like kind of a joke of somebody, and if the people who like that might offend the person, the people who like laugh like the people who don't laugh are like it shows like that they're respectful of like others' feelings and stuff like that. So like we know like who like the people like that should work on maybe like their respect and all like people's like souls and feelings. So we could do that too. Yeah.
MashaAllah. That was perfect.
I think I think one thing every community needs to find a very good balance in is how do we create the kind of programs that engages people in a way meaningfully, right? Can bring them into the masjid and then also keep them there for the things that they need. But again, coming back to things starting on a family level, I do not want to what's the word? Restrict in my child's mind that the only purpose, the only time we can come to the masjid is if there's another parallel event happening that is a game, a dinner, a movie, something of that nature, right? At some point, I should be able to relate to my child, we're going to Isha, and they're not going to say, why, what's the occasion? We're going to Isha because it's Isha. We're going to this salah because this is the house of Allah, right? So these things are important, but I think we can take these things to the extent where it's almost inconceivable for us to think that we're going to the masjid just because it's the house of Allah. So there is an important balance that I think we have to strike, that we do want to make the masjid engaging, but then there are other things on a deeper level that we need to be communicating that I think we're not. And I think one of the times in which this becomes like most evident to me, that there is something not being passed on from the last generation into this generation, is when I come to Jummah and I see people on their phones in a way that I was not familiar with in the past, right? I've seen people now, not once but twice, listening to voicemails during Jummah. And I think something that definitely used to be clear to a previous generation did not make its way over. You know, I know the previous generation, they necessarily didn't have these when they were going to the masjid back in the day. But there is something about the hurma, like the sanctity of the masjid, the sanctity of that time, that did not make its way over. And I think we need to be very vigilant of what other things are not making their way over. So again, right, these are going to be discussions that inshallah will continue. It's going to, it's not going to be top down, right? These are the things we're going to do. It's part of being an engaged community where we all get together with our ideas, that we feel comfortable to express ideas for things that need changing and so on. So inshallah, this serves as a good start, and may Allah Azza wa Jal put barakah in our efforts.
I mean. So we'll just end off. With this here now. I was just going to say that what he just said at that last point. Do not expect there to be a complete shift by next Friday, right? Like not everything is just going to change by a snap of fingers. What I'm extremely happy about is how much engagement there was tonight and how much willingness there was to share opinions. And that's what we want. And the more and more people are willing to talk and share their opinions and open up about what's on their minds, what's frustrating them, what's what they're worried about, and these kinds of things, the more that we can advance and become better. And that's the only way. So without having that dialogue, without having that back and forth, there can never be progress. So inshallah, we'll continue growing together, right? Hearing from each other, growing together, and making this a place where everyone is comfortable and no one is locked out, or having to park in a fire lane, or having to what were some of the other things? Dig their shoes out of a bag. Right? No, we want people to dig their shoes out of a bag. Okay. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our community and help us to grow together and increase us in blessings. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.